Today is day 2 of David Goggins' 4x4x48 challenge. I described David Goggins as ex-soldier, but that's because he's been serving in different branches of military. The other ex-Navy SEALs, or maybe Navy SEALs, were all just Navy SEALs, so they're easier. I'll just continue calling him ex-soldier. The challenge is to, over this weekend, run 4 miles every 4 hours over 48 hours. I've modified the challenge to incorporate dance. I'm shuffle dancing for 4 hours worth. 4 miles. Do you really need to do that right now? Yeah, well, I'll find it later, but if you go through my thing, well... I'm too busy right now. This is what happens when you run a challenge with other lazy slobbertons. They're all trying to knock you off course. Okay, I gotta start now. But this is what managing different disruptions is like. My first cycle of 500 steps. So I rejigged the math for David Goggins' challenge to accommodate my sleep schedule. I know David Goggins designed the schedule for sleep deprivation. That's part of the risk that you manage during this challenge. But I spent too much time building a good sleep pattern during this pandemic, courtesy of neuroscientist Andrew Huberman. Between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4 a.m., I am strictly lights out, no electronics, even if I'm just lying in bed in the pitch dark, turning to and fro, which is what happened last night. I thought after all of this physical activity, would sleep. I ended up tossing and turning. To clarify though, even though strictly between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. I'm lights out, my sleep actually usually encompasses that plus a couple of hours, so I'm sleeping 7, 8 plus hours a night, which has felt good and refreshing. But I've also done something else that Faraz Zahabi, top mixed martial arts coach to George St. Pierre, does as well. We listen to whatever voices running in the background. I usually have my pick of what I call intellectual dark web podcasts. To clarify, the intellectual dark web, yes, is intellectuals and experts in different fields, ranging from PhDs to military men, but all of them share a trait that I think is important. They are communicating with intellectual honesty. That means they're willing to ruffle feathers in order to be honest to what they think is truth. And that's what I think is important, because too many people are PC, but PC is just perhaps another form of dishonesty. That depends. We can debate that later. I'm still running a challenge though, so I'm going to get back to it. Again, I'm dance shuffling instead of running, because while I also run, I've dedicated myself to dance for the past year. I've learned mostly to breakdance, top rock, but I've also hip-hop danced through many different types of styles. Through doing so many steps and doing metrics day by day, I know that this shuffle step is the best step for this challenge for a couple of reasons. One, the shuffle step of all the steps I think closely mimics run, jog, walking mechanics. Two, the step, now that I've drilled and trained it from before, is easy to do. The step requires less cognitive load than any of the other steps that I've learned to dance. Why is that important? I'm just trying to accumulate steps as quickly as possible for this challenge. Cognitive complexity makes things much more difficult, and for probably the same energy burned, I'd have a lot fewer steps. So in order to manage this challenge and finish it, I had to pick a step that I was comfortable doing. One thing you might notice during the live vlog is I check my watch all the fucking time. That's because I'm using steps, my step counter, as a metric for my mini milestones. So I need a step that I can do while looking at my watch and other things. If you've ever watched me breakdance, breakdancing requires too much of a load for me to be able to do this as well. I mean, maybe some of the simpler steps, yes, but again, on What the Fuck Wednesdays from before, I've danced all my creativity out, I've choreographed things, I've done many things that are more creative. This is about rote repetition and accumulating steps. That's all this is. Whew. I'm getting there. So the sleep modification that I referred to earlier is that I'm now doing my 4 miles of dancing every 2.5 hours as opposed to every 4 hours in order to accommodate me and my full night's rest. Here's the thing, I've done sleep deprivation challenges. That's what adventure traveling is a lot about. So I know I can do that. This is a different type of challenge. This is about really being rote and repetitive, which is less my strong suit actually. I like to make things fun and creative, but repeating the same step so many times, I've had the idea that I wanted to change things up, but in order to have an outlet for that creative side of me, I've souped up a mental challenge on top of this. David Goggins has just the physical / mental challenge, 4x4x48. I've added my own. I've committed to the first edit of the first hour of my rockumentary. As of yesterday, I'd already completed half an hour. I'm on track, that means, to finish both this David Goggins 4x4x48 and my own rockumentary challenge. Whew. Okay. Getting there, we're getting there, we're getting there. Okay, I'm halfway through. I'm at 2,000 steps, 2 miles. That's actually my normal output per 30-minute slot of dancing. So what I've done for this David Goggins challenge is I've doubled my output per time slot, and I've added an additional time slot. That might seem like a lot, but David Goggins has the following mantra. He thinks that at any given time you're really only at about 40% of your maximum capacity. That's actually by design for me, because Faraz Zahabi has a completely different training approach. His training approach is sustainability, which means you actually do less per day in order to do things long term. So when I'm dancing, my 2 hours of dance split into 30-minute time slots on a normal dance day, I'm going moderately easy. I'm doing things so that I can do this, repeat this type of cycle 5 times a week. 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off. In doing so, I've basically been training consistently without injuries, even from last night. I feel good. I've no soreness even, because I did the key thing that I've learned throughout all of my athletic career. Stretch post in order to keep your body healthy day by day. So after I finished last night's run at about 9ish, I closed out all the lights, so I was lights out already, but I stretched. Full body. David Goggins himself does about 3 hours of post stretching a day. I'm usually at around 15 minutes to 30 minutes, usually more 30 minutes. But yesterday, because I wanted to sleep, so I thought, I aimed for a good probably 20-ish minutes, but I had trouble sleeping. That's fine though. I listened to podcast after podcast after podcast. How do I do that? I just cue them up and turn the screen off so I can hear things, but without the distraction of the lights. The disruption of your circadian rhythm actually occurs through your eyes. So for me, I'm just strict about lights out. What I'm doing during that time, of course, I'm trying to sleep, but if I'm rolling around in bed, that's cool. I take it as, okay, I'm learning something through podcasts, or I'm sleeping, and I fall asleep to whoever's voice is running at the time. Okay, so back to the concept of monotony. How have I actually managed to dance then for the whole year? A lot of dance is drill repetition. Yes, that's true. And I've done my fair share of drilling and repeating. But part of the beauty of variety is that you can choose to drill different steps in different cycles. So I'll often do that. In top rocking, the Indian crossover step, I know close to 50 variations of that step. So even though the base fundamental mechanics are the same, I'm actually adding creative flair, and I can switch between all those variations. Yes, I'm doing the reps, I'm having the cycles. When I first learned to do the steps, I definitely did a version of this, but I rarely did one 30-minute time slot for a single step, unless it was the initial learning phase. And even then, sometimes I would break things up by doing something different, throwing on a song, doing a freestyle. I have many, many different ways to keep things fresh and fun for me when I'm dancing. So this is actually the first time in my dance career that I've just basically done one step for 2 days straight. This is different. This is a new challenge for me, and I think I've done relatively well. I've actually used the micro-slicing time technique that many neuroscientists and ex-military men have recommended. Instead of thinking the big picture, oh, the big picture is to run, dance, or whatever the equivalent of 1.5 to 2 ultras over the weekend, I'm just thinking the next step. Then I'm also thinking the next 500 step cycle. That's it. That's all I'm thinking about. And then rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Eventually, I'll have the final goal done. Just like when I'm editing my rockumentary, I'm just thinking of this 30-second time slot that I'm editing right now. So I edit also in 30-second time slots. I'm editing one time slot at a time, one time slot at a time, instead of thinking about, oh, I need to have 60 minutes by the end of this weekend. I'm just thinking I'm doing 30 seconds at a time. I'm editing. This 30 seconds, I'm editing. The next 30 seconds, and that's all I'm thinking about. Okay, am I going to continue now? Yeah. Back to it. Okay, I'm getting there slowly but surely. This micro-slicing time has worked very well. That's why I count. First, I count because that's how I know I've met my next milestone. I've mentioned before that this thing only calculates distance in post. The thing that it counts in real time is the number of steps. So technically, I'm just aiming for 4,000 steps per 30 minutes. That's all I'm aiming for. By my math, at the end of this weekend, I should have 1.5 to 2 ultras being completed. That's about the distance, but I'm more concentrated on the steps, so by the end of this weekend I'll have 50,000 steps. Okay, I'm one 500 step cycle away from being at the end of Shuffle Dance Run 6 of 10, the first of today, March 7th. Oh, just some self-care issues. For some reason, I like to eat after my first exercise of the day. That's how things go for me. So I hydrated a little bit. You'll notice that I never actually hydrate during the thing. I like to go for about 30 minutes, do my thing, and then hydrate afterwards. Sometimes what happens is because I'm a tiny person, whatever comes into me just goes right through me into my belly and it sits, and sometimes I can hear water sloshing inside myself when I'm doing things, so I'd rather just concentrate on the challenge instead of having that additional food and water baggage weighing me down. Okay. I'm getting there. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. done and right on time. Part of the reason why I'm limiting my physical activity time is because if I'm also going to accomplish this mental challenge of editing the first draft of the first hour of my documentary, I really have to toggle in between these two things. So honestly, you could probably reach the ultramarathon steps by just consistently slowly walking throughout the entire day, but I'm limiting myself because I have to. I have another goal that I'm trying to meet. I've got my twin goals, my David Goggins 4x4x48, and my own rockumentary editing. Okay, so I'm going to repeat this 4 more times today, and then that'll be that. I think this has been really interesting to test my patience with repetition. I really, really, really like dynamic, active adventure. That's me. This would less be something that I picked to do. Even though a lot of dancing is repetition, you can still have creative repetition. Basically what I do as soon as I learn the fundamentals of a step is I move on to choreographing and trying to creatively add that to a dance. So this has been a test in patience for me. This has been a test in repetition for me. And I guess how I handle this would be just step by step by step. I know as long as I do the step, I'm accumulating my step goal, and that's all I need to be doing. I think sometimes you just have to keep it simple, and that's it. This is a fairly simple challenge, really. It's just gut through and do it. Maybe my years of practice in meditation also helps. I think the number one thing that people complain about meditation is it's fucking boring. You're just sitting there, lying there in peace and quiet without any external distractions. A lot of times, because people have lacked that inner work for a long time, they find it boring. But maybe that boredom covers actually a surface of pain, anger, and suffering. So the first layer is boredom, but once you strip that away, there's a lot of adventure to be had. It's just what people would classify as negative adventure. So this has been a little bit like that. It's just repeating some things, but I've enjoyed it. I think I'd probably usually choose to do different challenges, but this is why this challenge was good, because this is something that I need to work on, and that's why I picked this type of challenge to do. But just to be clear, I'm actually just doing this on my own. I'm being rogue. I'm doing David's challenge modified, but I know that people are actually competing, they're raising money, they're doing other things. I'm just doing this for fun. This is just for me. I'll see you in 2.5 hours. By that time, I'll hopefully have made some progress on the rockumentary as well. This is the first thing I've done this morning. My clothing is malfunctioning. I'm having a wardrobe malfunction. I'm back for David Goggins' 4x4x48 challenge. David Goggins, ex-soldier, ex-Navy SEAL, has designed this challenge so that you run 4 miles every 4 hours over 48 hours total. I've modified his challenge to be a dance challenge instead, because I'm celebrating 1 year of dance training. So I'm going to be shuffle dancing, crip dancing. Yes, some people call it the sea walk, the crip walk. Whatever the name is, it's a dance move. At least I've ever been to start. Or right about at it. In between my first run shuffle dance of the day and now I've actually eaten the same thing that I ate yesterday, which is protein eggs, vegetables, ginger, and onion, grains, 100% whole wheat bread. I had myself a little sandwich. How are we going to do this? We're going to start now? I should add that another self-care item is I cut my nails more so than normal, including finger and toes. This is actually immensely helpful. I've never been into anything self-care related or even self-art related in terms of makeup and all the other various polishes and procedures that you can do on yourself. I know some people do it as an art form. I've done it before in kink, but on a normal day-to-day basis, I really have much better things to do. For those who like makeup and other such things, that's your prerogative. But I'll offer this. If it's for art purposes, that's fine. If it's for self-esteem and attractiveness purposes, I'd argue that you probably could spend your time doing other things, better things. That's my read on it. But also, I'm an asexual, so take that advice as you will. I'm going to start now. And I've already started on a high note. 5,000 steps today already. Whew, it's a little windy. Okay. To pick up on my previous advice, the reason I'm in this mood is because I've leveled up David Goggins' physical challenge with a mental challenge of my own by the end of this week, and I will have the first draft of the first hour of my rockumentary. Now, in this rockumentary editing phase, I've had to also simultaneously come up with storylines. Storylines are fun. They're what I've been doing since I was young, but I have some very interesting philosophies that I'd like to weave in to the rockumentary. Right now, as it stands, for the first draft, I'm well on track to be able to finish my goal. But again, the first draft, first edit is basically just a highlight reel according to a theme, and I'm doing this as an exercise to help me maybe come up with a story. The thing is that every week I vlog, sometimes even twice, and I can always talk and talk and talk and talk, but can I coalesce an entertaining story that's also unique and dark, but funny? So I have many vibes that I'm going for. I think the vibes describe me as a human, so I want this rockumentary to be like what it's like to know me in real life. I am slowly getting there. I might be repeating a lot of what I've said in the previous vlogs. Over this entire weekend, I will have done close to 5 hours worth of vlogging. 2.5 hours a day, so I'm gonna repeat myself, but this is good, this is fun. This is a test in patience for me. I usually like to do one takes and I'm out, but sometimes, for example, in editing a rockumentary, you have to be patient, you have to be patient, really. Part of the reason why I struggle with my creativity is because my creativity acts like a bitchy twit. It likes to come and go as it pleases, and that's fine. I talk about my creativity like it's a separate person because it essentially is. When it wants to visit, it visits. When it wants to go away and be dormant, it does that. So what I have to do is I just have to ride the waves of creativity and be okay with that. That's why I very little force myself and I more allow things to flow. The only thing that I've done that's more disciplined in the last year is that I'll turn on the camera and vlog, and then I'll dance. But even then, I go a little bit with my mood. Throughout the day, I'll vlog when I feel like vlogging on a specific day. So that combines some discipline with a lot of freedom. Of course, I've been struggling a little bit with maybe scheduling my live stream, and YouTube's even given me some technical problems with relation to this. Yesterday, a viewer told me that the live stream just keeps buffering. Here's the thing, David Goggins and I are both struggling with our tech, so it is what it is. I'm trying my best, but whatever. You can always watch after the fact when it's done. It'll upload eventually. What happened yesterday was 4 of the live streams basically combined into one long post video, and then the final run of the day had its own separate video. Whatever, YouTube's doing what it wants to do. I think maybe what it's doing is that it's combining all the YouTubes in one single calendar day according to Eastern time. The reason why the last vlog ended up on its own video is because it was past 12 Eastern, which was still 9 p.m. Pacific, right? Okay, my stomach cramped a little bit on the cycle just there. It's the first time that that's happened at all in this challenge and in a long time. I've been dancing for about a year-ish, and I've done moderate training. That's yet to happen, so okay, I'm going to take a bit of a break and rest. Well, essentially I'm just going to take the same break that I'm normally taking right now. I should be okay. What I did just there is when I felt a bit of the cramp come on, I lowered my intensity and volume of output slightly, enough to keep going. Oof. Okay. I will rest a little bit more. Maybe what I'll do for the final 3 runs after this one is try neuroscientist Andrew Huberman's double inhale exhale breathing during the entire activity. That method of breathing is supposed to offload carbon dioxide, excess carbon dioxide, which helps you continue your activity. Yes, the cramp has continued, but it's lessened, so I think I should be able to go all the way through. David Goggins warned of this. You might injure yourself. Injure. This is a very slight thing. This is actually something that used to happen to me more when I was running. This type of activity, I think, lessens the chance of that type of pull, but still can happen. Again, I'm more than doubling my usual volume output for a day. In a normal day, I'd be dancing the equivalent of 2 miles every 30 minutes. Now I'm doubling that, 4 miles every 30 minutes, and I'm adding an extra 30-minute time slot. So I'm more than doubling my usual output for the day. Again, though, it's totally doable because, like Faraz Zahabi, the top mixed martial arts coach recommends you really want to structure your daily exercise routine for sustainability. This David Goggins challenge 4x4x48 is a one-off. This is something I'm just doing for fun. This is also something that I wanted to pair up with my rockumentary film editing so that I would encourage myself to have some positive output on that as well. To be honest, I think the more important thing is that I'll have the first edit of the first hour of my rockumentary. The rest, this physical stuff, is fun, and this testing my patience in editing the rockumentary is also testing my patience as well, because sometimes computer work can be a drag. I used to do that in my, what I call old life, but now I've completely changed myself. I've always been an adventurous person, and yes, you can have adventures in the mind while being sedentary, but I'm more like to combine them all. How about having an adventure in your mind while you're having an adventure in the body as well? That's completely possible. That's what adventure traveling is. Yeah. So I think this is probably my most difficult shuffle dance of the entire set. That brief stomach cramp is still pinching a little, but I think it's mostly gone now. Sometimes that happens. I think body awareness is learning when you can push through things and when you must stop. That's the key. Is stopping failing? No. If stopping is the best in the situation, then stopping is what you do, and that's a success. But I think developing body awareness is to know the difference between the two, because a lot of the times you can push through things, and the only thing I can recommend is that you have to learn to be aware of your body. Now, how do you do that? Obviously, if you're physically active, you start knowing yourself better. But if you're mentally active, you also know yourself better. So you have to do both at once. Mine, activities of choice when it comes to creating body awareness, yoga, meditation. Those are the two. Yoga is also leveraged into many different sports, for example, breakdancing, but I think yoga is the key, the fundamental underpinning of all of that. Why I've been bringing up breath work and breath patterns is because that's partly how you can gain body awareness, is that while you're doing the physical activity, instead of just blindly doing it, you actually observe what's happening in your body. You observe how you're feeling, and you can also test whether things you do can help alleviate whatever comes up. Breathing is one of those techniques that helps do that. So maybe when I cite yoga as the activity, I'm really citing active breathing as the activity. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. But that niggling stomach cramp is also there. I think that might be something that I just have to deal with for the rest of this shuffle dance. I should be okay. I wonder what the difference is between having to do my runs compressed during the daylight hours. I'm observing a strict sleep pattern, so 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Lights out, lights out. I usually sleep that period plus another couple hours, so 7 to 8 hours. But sometimes I'm just lying in bed, tossing and turning, and that's okay too. The more important thing is no lights helps you set your circadian rhythm. So even if you miss out on a little bit of sleep, you're actually still okay. To be honest, I've messed around with my sleep pattern a lot as an adventure traveler, and I spent a lot of time building this habit during the pandemic, so I just wanted to continue through. I'm sure when I resume other activities, like adventure travel, like adventure sports, I might have to tear away at the sleep schedule again, but until that happens, I'd like to keep a consistent schedule for that at the very least. That's the one thing I keep consistent. As a very disciplined thing. Ooh, do I feel like continuing? I will continue for sure. It's just about, do I want to take an extra beat? Okay, I'm almost there. Almost there. Ooh, I'm a little slower than normal, and that's probably because of that niggling stomach cramp. It's funny how even such a small thing can influence your time by a lot. Oh, the reason I'm thinking about timing is because that's important to me. I have things that I want to do in between. So I'm trying to limit the amount of time I spend on the physical aspect of this 4x4x48. Otherwise, I mean, really what I could do is just walk around all day, and I would definitely accumulate the 25,000 steps, the amount that I need for 2 ultramarathons worth over the weekend. But I have the other portion of the challenge, the mental challenge, the editing challenge. So that's something that I'm cognizant of. What am I doing? What am I thinking of? I'm getting close to the end here. So one cycle left is what I'm at. One cycle left of 500 steps is what I'm at. And I'm about ready to start again. Actually, I think my timing is about okay. I'm a little bit over this time, but it's okay. In light of my small stomach cramp, I understand why it happened. Okay, I'm done. And I'm done right in about what I would want. I now need to edit my rockumentary so that I can keep these two dual challenges going. By the end of this weekend, I will have completed David Goggins' 4x4x48 challenge and my own editing rockumentary challenge. Oh, okay. See you in 2.5 hours. I'm continuing David Goggins' 4x4x48 challenge. David Goggins, ex-Navy SEAL, ex-soldier, has challenged us to run 4 miles every 4 hours over a total of 48 hours. I've modified his challenge in a way that I'll explain after I start. I'm at 10,000 steps for the day. That was just a practice run. I'm going to start the challenge in a second, but that's an example of what I'll be doing. I'll be dancing instead of running. I'm shuffling, crip walking, whatever you want to call it, to celebrate my 1 year of dance training. I'm a runner too, but I've been much more dedicated to dance. This is what I've done to be healthy and sane during these fucked up times. So that's what I'm doing. I'm also leveling up David's physical challenge with a mental challenge of my own. I'll be finished the first edit of the first hour of my rockumentary. I'm well on track to do so. I am about 90% done, so I should be finished the hour by the end of today. We're gonna start. Okay, I'm gonna start now my 4 miles of dancing, my 4,000 steps of dancing, which is equivalent to a 4-mile run. Okay, go. 'What I'm doing resembles HIIT or height, high intensity interval training. I'm counting aloud in my head because that helps me to spend more of my time actually doing the task rather than checking my watch. If left to my own devices without the counting, I'd probably check my watch much more, which actually detracts my focus. What I'm trying to do is just accumulate as many steps as possible in the quickest time possible. I'm limiting myself to about half an hour time slot to complete my 4 miles or 4,000 steps because, as explained, I have another thing I'm trying to do. I'm editing alongside this mental challenge. I mean, this physical challenge. So I gotta move. I gotta keep moving. Okay. Is this continuing to go? Yes, it is. Something happened on the screen. Whatever. I'm continuing on. I'm actually dancing my 4 miles every 2.5 hours because I'm sleeping. I'm sleeping according to my strict schedule, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. as per neuroscientist Andrew Huberman. I'm lights out. I usually sleep for a little longer than that, 7, 8 plus hours. But even if I'm lying there in bed with the lights off, I can be listening to podcasts, I can be doing other things that are auditory, so I'm less militant about having to sleep. The thing is that you'll fall asleep when you fall asleep, and I've actually found the best thing for me, aside from sometimes ASMR, is listening to podcasts. Who knows why? Faraz Zahabi, top mixed martial arts coach, also does the same thing, so I'm in good company. Oh, what? I miscalculated again. Ooh, okay. I thought I was at where I needed to be at, but okay, sometimes I miss myself, sometimes I misjudge. That's okay. At the end of this half-hour block, the only thing that matters is I have my 4,000 steps. So these intermediate goals that I have, 500 steps per cycle, that's just to keep me going. That's me micro-slicing time. That's me just having something to look forward to. So first I do step by step, then the back of my mind I have the 500 cycle goal, so that's what I'm doing. That's kept me going. It's going to keep me going. I'm normally the type of person who's an adventurer, as people well know if they've been following me for at all, or they're my friends in real life. I love adventure, which means I love new things, exciting things, different things, repeating the same step over and over again, although I've been doing that before for dance purposes. I've never done it quite like this. This has been basically one step the entire weekend. That's normally, to me, something that I would find too repetitive and boring, but that's exactly the challenge here. I'm trying to do something that I would usually find a challenge in order to challenge me. got tripped up on my counting over there. Who knows what happened? That went a little longer than normal. Since I take about 1 second to finish left-right foot shuffles, I count the sets up to about 100 to 120. Normally, I'm taking about an hour and a half, a minute and a half to 2 minutes. So this does resemble HIIT, high intensity interval training, where you just work really hard for a bulk, you rest for a bulk, hard rest, hard rest. I've done the breakdown, and about half the time I spent in active dynamic shuffling mode, half the time I spend right now resting, talking, but keeping my body running. The heart wants to keep working, so if you go from active dynamic activity to straight stop, that's really hard on the heart. What you want to do is you want to either ramp down to rest or keep your body moving and then ramp back up to active dynamicism. Oh no, that's why I keep looking at the wrong thing. I'm halfway there. Oh, To be honest, I'm just using David Goggins' 4x4x48 as an excuse to encourage me to edit my rockumentary. What I did was I started the year with technical tutorials. I had some footage because I have so many different kinds of cameras that I had to know I could make work within a rockumentary. For example, I have something called virtual reality footage, 360 footage. And I had to learn how to, in some cases, map onto 2D, how to, in some cases, use other technical tricks in order to make all of my camera footage work together. I spent the first month of the year just roughly knowing that I could solve my own technical problems. After that, because I had other things to do, I just ran an experiment in my head. I had another month or so of thinking. Can I come up with a story first before I start actually editing together a draft? Okay, after that month, I realized I really need to just go forward with editing something together. So I decided, starting this month, that I'll do that. I'll just start editing. And I think I'm going to mimic what I do when I write. When I write, I have to just start, and then sometimes story will come to me after I start putting things on paper. Actually, as a writer, I'm a very redundant person. I keep going through things and going through things. I ruminate, but I think I positively ruminate because that's part of my process. I've tried to eliminate the ruminating, but the ruminating helps me be creative, so I'm just going to go with it. It is what it is. Sometimes I wonder to myself, am I just going over things again and again and again? Yes, I am, and that's my process. That's been my creative process as a writer since I was young, since I first started learning to write. So why mess with a good thing? Why? It works. It's slow, but it works, and that's the thing. That's why this challenge is helping me cultivate patience, because I have to be patient. My creativity does what it wants to do. By definition, that means it's slow. That means it comes when it wants. Instead of me forcing it to do things at a certain time period, it'll take however fucking long it wants to. So I have to be patient. This challenge, the David Goggins challenge, has been a lesson in patience, because I have to basically just repeat the same thing over and over again, which would be different than what I would choose for myself. But that's the whole part of what a challenge is. Sometimes a challenge is just that. I'm challenging myself to be repetitive and boring and still enjoy it. almost getting there. I'm getting there. This is a grind. This is a real grind. I mean, here's the thing. Part of life, even part of an adventurer's life, is a boring grind. You have to find a way to enjoy that boring grind. So what's one way? One way of enjoying a boring grind is to attach it to someone you respect and who inspires you, like a David Goggins. He's come up with this challenge. I thought it was a fun challenge to do, but my own way, so I'm happy that I modified it. That showed some creativity because I changed it into dancing, but also some discipline and some honing of patience, which is something I need to work on sometimes. Actually, a lot of the time. This has been good. I think the more important thing is that I've encouraged myself to pair the physical with a mental challenge of my own. I will have the first edit of the first hour of my rockumentary. My creative process has actually gone through an arc during the weekend, and that's good. Sometimes you just have to do shit. Sometimes instead of thinking and planning, part of thinking and planning is actually doing. So what do I mean by that? The month that I spent hashing out stories in my head was still well spent, but arguably I've been doing that part already. That's my usual process. I go stream of consciousness, I have hours and hours and hours of footage of me talking. That I know how to do. But refining, tightening up, putting pieces together, sometimes you actually have to visualize it by doing in the software program. You have to collate your clips, you have to maybe edit things together, watch it, feel it, and then change it. That's probably what I'm doing. That's probably what I'm going to do. I think part of the problem is that software editing takes so much time that I wanted to maybe have a clearer vision of what I want. But here's the good thing. I'm the one who's logging the human hours doing the stuff. Some other people, some other adventurers have hired out all of that. So they're paying out the ass. I actually like the film editing process, so I'm candy coated. To be honest though, in some ways I feel like I'm cheating a little bit, because as much as I'm supposed to practice my patience, after every 500 step cycle I come and talk to the camera, which to me is partially a creative process. Vlogging is a creative process. It's quicker, I'm more prone to error, such as the outcome of stream of consciousness, but it's still a creative process. So, in some ways, I've got to pat myself on the back in any case, because I'm doing things that I need work on in a way that I like it. So that's sometimes how you got to do things. Speaking of things I like, I'm a sweet tooth, but yesterday I never really indulged in any of the snacks that I thought I would. Today, somebody brought home milk tea, laita in Cantonese, and I went to town. For some reason, I've been on that kind of kick, so that was my treat. I had a little bit, and I'm probably going to have more. That'll be my treat for the day. Lest I sound like some really healthy vegetarian vegan, I honestly have been really flexible with myself. That's why I call myself a flexitarian. I try my best to eat well, but I also indulge, and I indulge in moderation, so it's good. Sometimes I've found that being too strict with things can actually cause more stress and fewer results, so you have to find a balance between being disciplined and being free, and I think that whatever flow that I've come up with this weekend has worked, and actually it's a similar flow that I use throughout my whole life to achieve all things I want, whether in adventure or in the boring doldrum shit that I have to do to support the adventure. For example, logistics is something that, quite honestly, some people find to be a drag, and I can find it to be a drag too, but I know that it's for a purpose, the same like this challenge 4x4x48. Okay, I'm about done, and I'm starting to get sloppy out there. That's why I chose the shuffle. The shuffle, the dance, whatever you want to call it, crip walk, sea walk. It's the easiest thing that I can do. First, it accumulates steps quicker than every other step that I've done. The other steps are much more cognitively intense, especially breakdancing, top rocking. That's the most cognitively intense dance. None of those are really going to work, because for the same energy spent, I actually have fewer steps. So I really had to keep it simple, stupid, strip it down to the bare minimum. This step closely resembles walking, running, jogging, but at least what I can do is get my reps in for this step, so I should be a motherfucking shuffle expert by the end of this. I am. Right now I'm debating whether my next choreography is going to feature any of it at all. To be honest, shuffling, there's many different types, so I can shuffle a different way. I've even debated doing a different shuffle step to mix things up, but here's the thing. My whole point is I'm going to keep to the boring monotony of one step, because it gets me finish the physical part of this challenge faster, so that I can actually start the mental part of the challenge, which is editing my documentary. Okay. Okay, wow, I've exceeded the time by quite a little bit this time. I think I'll have to check the logs. Yes, this vlog has gone a little bit long, but it is what it is. I'm going to leave it intact. I'm going to continue to vlog for a little bit longer because it is what it is. I want to remember this experience, just like I want to remember a lot of experiences. The last pandemic year has been fucked up, yes. Maybe outwardly looking like it would lack adventure, but my dancing has been another adventure of a lifetime. I'd still rank everything I accomplished during the pandemic year as up there with the other adventures that I've done. And I'm really, really meaning that, because dance has been something I've always watched. I've always thought to myself, when would I have the opportunity to dedicate myself to it? And this pandemic presented the opportunity. This is what encouraged me to have the time to do it, because otherwise I would always probably rank other adventures above this. But dancing has unlocked, has revealed an entire type of creativity that I never knew existed. That's why I've been disciplined in recording myself, because I want to remember this journey I've been on. I learned a completely new skill, but a skill that I've always been interested in, and I combined creativity into it. If anything, my creative beast has actually expressed itself best in dance, because I've kept to the schedule of choreographing a new dance every 2 weeks. If you were to ask me before, could I have encouraged myself to write a chapter of a book every 2 weeks? I've never had the ability to do that. But for dance, I've had that ability. So I'm thinking to myself, what have I done in the dance situation that's made it different than, for example, writing or even editing a rockumentary? Who knows? But if I can understand where that creative vein comes from, I can transport it to the other creative endeavors that I'm trying to do. And in some ways, I've probably already done some of that. The editing of the rockumentary at the pace that I'm doing would have been surprising even right before the pandemic, but now I'm doing it. So all in all, I think this has been just as good a year as any. See you in 2.5 hours, where we're going to start wrapping this 2 physical and mental challenges up. Whew. I'm almost done. I've almost achieved David Goggins' 4x4x48 challenge. He's challenged us to run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. I'm in the final 2 runs of the challenge. But if you've been following me vlog, you know that I've modified David's challenge to celebrate my 1 year of dance training. I am dance shuffling, crip walking, the equivalent of 4 miles, but I'm doing it every 2.5 hours because I've observed a strict sleep pattern. I worked really hard to build the sleep habit up, so because I actually sleep the normal hours, 7, 8 or more a night, I've had to contract all of my run activity time during the waking hours. This is what I've been doing that's worked well for me, and I'm almost there. Woo! We're starting on 15,000 steps. What I'm trying to do is 25,000 per day over this weekend, which would be roughly 2 ultramarathons, 1.5 ultramarathons over the weekend. I'm less about the distance per se and more about the steps, because the steps are easier for me to micromanage the goals. By micromanage, I mean it in a good way. I have to have something to look forward to while doing steps, because otherwise the cognitive load would be too much. My watch calculates steps in real time, but only distance after the fact. So I have to use steps as my metric, and I'm going to use steps as my metric. At least according to my watch, 4,000 steps is roughly 4 miles, so I'm aiming for the 4,000 steps, starting now. Okay, so I've leveled up David's physical challenge with a mental challenge of my own, and I'm proud and happy to announce that I have completed my mental challenge. I've achieved the first edit of the first hour of my rockumentary. Now, obviously, I have a little bit of a trickiness there. First edit is the first edit, but I can add in however many edits until the final cut. That's up to me, but I had to start. I had to do something, because I tried a month of allowing myself to free flow a story in my head, but I think after this month, I've learned that I just have to do. I have to do, which means I have to actually sit there and edit on the software, because I need the visual, the audio in front of me, and what I'm thinking will happen is that this rockumentary process is going to mimic my writing process. I just need to shit some stuff out and then work on it. Because editing takes such a long time on the software as opposed to writing editing, I thought maybe I could save myself some edits by having a clearer storyline to work with, but I have to do it this other way. And any case. I'm about to start again. Oh, yeah. I've mentioned before that part of the challenge for me is actually doing something boring and monotonous for an extended period of time. When I'm dance training, yes, I do drill. That's how you learn a dance step. But I also shift from different moves. So I can be drilling something, and then I can switch to a next step and drill that. But with this, I've really just stuck to the basics. This step, the shuffle step, at least the one I'm doing, is the easiest to do for this challenge. The step best mimics walking, jogging. At least it's less cognitively complex than any of the other steps I do, especially the breakdancing steps, the top rocks, the Indian crossover step. More importantly, I can frequently check my watch without really breaking flow, although the last couple runs I might have broken flow because sometimes I'm going too fast to actually look at my watch. But the reason why the watch is important is because I really need to monitor my times. That's really important, at least to me, because I've split this process up into micro goals. First, I concentrate on each step. Then I concentrate on the 500 step cycle, and those are the only two things I worry about. I know that if I just keep moving, I'll eventually get there. I know it's doable. I'm almost at the end of this, and I know that my body can handle it. I actually always knew my body could handle it because I dance in a moderately easy pace. Yes, for this challenge, I'm actually doubling my pace on a normal dance day in a 30-minute time slot. I'd actually be dancing the equivalent of 2 miles. Right now, in a 30-minute time slot, I'm dancing the equivalent of 4 miles. So I'm doubling my output. I've also added an extra 30-minute time slot. So I'm more than doubling my output, but I knew that I had room to do that because when I normally dance, I'm taking it moderately easy. The reason why I do that is courtesy of top MMA coach, mixed martial arts coach Faraz Zahabi. We're aiming for sustainability, and to be sustainable, you actually have to do a moderately easy pace day per day. Otherwise, you can risk injuring yourself, and then you'll end up missing a lot more than if you just did a little less training per day, but over a longer period of time. Oh, okay. I'm getting there, I'm getting there, I'm getting there. Ay, ay, ay. Yes, things are starting. Things are starting. I've rewarded myself. Someone brought home some drinks called Lai Ta in Cantonese, and I've been on that kind of kick, so I've had my sweet treat. Yesterday I actually went without, but today, since it was easily available, I took it. The other thing could have been easily available too. All I had to do was spread some Nutella onto a piece of bread, but for some reason at the end of the day I never did it. I also have ice cream. I never did that either. So sometimes you just go with what you feel. If your body feels like doing something different, then you do something different. Am I exceeding the time again? Yes, I'm a little bit slower. So the last 2 runs, I'm probably going to be a little bit off pace. Okay, yes, I'm a little off pace again. Maybe that's what the body's doing for the last 2 to 3 of the weekend. My body is slowly slowing down, and that's okay. That's to be expected. Because I finished my mental challenge of editing the first edit of the first hour of my rockumentary, I'm okay. So I can take it easier if I'm wavering. If I finish my 4 miles within 35-ish minutes, that's all right. That 30-minute constraint, I only applied on myself because I also had the mental challenge going on. I had to make sure that I had enough time to finish both, but now that I'm ahead of schedule on the mental challenge, I can feel free to roof the time on this physical 4x4x48. I'm halfway through the second last dance shuffle. I'm keeping moving because that's the best thing for your heart. think I've discovered the reason why my pace is slowing down. My stride's been a little shorter, so that means I'm investing more energy per step. So, okay, more energy and more time. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, so maybe I'll pick it back up a little more, but it's okay. Now that I've achieved my mental challenge, I'm good. I can take a little bit of extra time, an extra 5 minutes. I only time bound the steps because that would mean that I have to pick up the pace. Otherwise, you could, in theory, just slowly, leisurely walk around and probably accumulate 25,000 steps. We're getting there. And we are going to be over time, over my 30 minutes, but that's okay. I've accepted that that's what's gonna happen. I'm getting there. Oh, this is a grind. This is a real grind. But I'm getting there. How you can tell it's a grind is that I've just slowed the fuck down the last 2 shuffle dance cycles. Progressions. Oh, yeah. That's okay. We knew eventually, probably, the body would have niggles, aches and pains. Earlier, in a previous dance, I had a bit of a stomach cramp. That's cleared itself up. But now, it's just the grind, the pace. If I'm okay with the pace that I'm going at, I should be, again, giving myself a buffer of an extra 5 minutes or so. That's okay though, because the main reason I had that constraint was, again, the mental challenge, and I've completed the mental challenge of the first edit of the first hour of my rockumentary. I have one last cycle of 500 steps left, and then I'm done this thing. I'm gonna be a little bit above my own time limit, but that's okay. I've had as much fun as I can have with something so boring and repetitive as this one dance step. I've consistently thought about changing it up, but again, that would defeat the purpose of the challenge, which is for me to accept and even enjoy boring monotony. The thing is that learning the step is new and exciting, so drilling it is something that I know I have to do in order to learn it. Once you've learned it, doing it literally as the only thing you're doing for the entire weekend in terms of physical activity is quite a grind. Normally what I would do is I would just rotate between different steps when I'm drilling. I've never drilled the same step for so many consecutive time slots. The most I've ever done is drill the same step for 2 30-minute time slots. But even then, I might split it up over several days, as in I would do a 30-minute time slot on one day and then another 30-minute. Okay, does that even make sense? What did I just say? Okay, I think I've caught myself in a logical flaw and I'm too besides myself to know how to fix it. Okay, I'm on my last cycle of 500. Let's bring it on home. Ugh. Okay. Ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ah, that was a lot. But I'm okay. I've survived. I only have one last shuffle dance for this challenge later tonight in 2.5 hours, and then I'll be done. Oh, this is where it's starting to be a grind. I'm happy I did this though. This will be something that I reflect on, mostly because of the mental challenge that I attacked on top of David Goggins' 4x4x48. Yes, I have, or will have by tonight, danced 4 miles every 4 hours over 48 hours, although in my case every 2.5 hours because I'm doing this during only the waking hours. On top of that, I've the first edit of the first hour of my rockumentary. Am I sounding repetitive? Yes, that's fine. This is part of the challenge. I'm trying to train myself. It's okay. Accept it. Repetition is a part of life. If anything, my creative process is actually a lot of repetition, but that's okay. I've wired myself to enjoy it in the creative realm, so I think I can find some fun in it outside of the creative realm. Who knows? I'm still thinking. What am I thinking? I'm done. I'm done is what I'm thinking. This is it. I'm almost at the top of the mountain. This is the last run of my David Goggins 4x4x48 challenge. David Goggins, ex-soldier, ex-Navy SEAL, motivational human being, has challenged us to run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours total. I've modified that by changing it to a dance challenge. I've also added a mental challenge, which I've already achieved as of the last run. I have the first edit of the first hour of my rockumentary, so as per normal, I'm going to start the challenge and then I'll slowly leak out information while I'm actively resting. I should comment on the fact that I started on a 20,000 step milestone. Now to explain for the last time, I've modified David Goggins' challenge to dance 4 miles instead of run. And I've also modified David Goggins' challenge to do this every 2.5 hours because I'm observing a strict sleep schedule. I've been following this schedule for a while now, a couple of months, and it took me a great effort to establish it, so I'm going to keep it going. It is roughly 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. I am lights out. I sleep probably anywhere from 7 to 8 plus hours, including that time frame, but I'm relaxed about it in the sense that even if I'm tossing and turning, as long as the lights are out, the screens are off, I'm fine. Again, it's actually the light into your physical eyes that causes the disruption in the circadian rhythm and all sorts of negative health effects, so that's all I'm trying to avoid. Normally, I'm actually sleeping well too. Once in a while, though, I'm tossing back and forth. I have learned, though, that anxiety related to sleep makes things worse, so that's why I have discipline plus freedom. That's worked well for me. That's also worked well for this challenge. Challenge has been dual in nature. This physical challenge also has its mental aspect, but I still decided that I would soup up David Goggins' physical challenge with an additional mental challenge of editing my rockumentary. To be completely honest, the editing is what I'm the proudest of. I was basically leveraging David Goggins' challenge to encourage me to get my fucking butt moving, get my ass moving on my rockumentary. Okay, I'm slowly getting there. So I did have my share of treats today. I thought I'd start that yesterday, I've kept to a healthy-ish flexitarian diet. Protein, eggs, vegetables, ginger and onion, grains, 100% whole wheat bread. Put all of those together in a sandwich, and I basically ate that. Someone bought takeout, I ate a little bit of that, but fairly little comparatively speaking. The treat that I had was laita, which is milk tea. It's been something I've been craving quite a lot actually in the last couple of months. I normally would stay away from coffee-like drinks, but if I feel it, I feel it. I take it when it's free. I've never spent money on that kind of thing. That's how I save up my resources to do my adventures. In terms of body upkeep, I also cut my nails, fingers and toes, because that's been helpful, keeping everything smooth sailing. I also keep my body moving in between because that's what the heart likes. It likes to at least consistently decelerate or maintain some sort of output in between height or high intensity interval training, which is what this resembles. Yes. So another thing that's been a challenge is the boring monotony of doing the same step. Why did I choose to do this? Well, I'm celebrating 1 year of dance training, so I wanted to honor that. But I also just wanted something simple and repetitive to do because I need to be able to do it while doing other things like checking my watch a lot. So I settled on this shuffle step because it closely resembles walking, jogging, but just with a dance twist. I really need to be able to check things without breaking flow, although at nighttime I've had to break flow because my eyes have difficulty reading the numbers. But other than that, I think things have been good. I like the way I've done the challenge. This is teaching me to be patient because I'm an adventurer. I usually like new, exciting, unique, but sometimes you just have to find enjoyment in boring monotony, because the reality is that being an adventurer requires boring monotony to help make that adventure happen. For example, logistics, traveling. That can be boring and monotonous. Balancing budgets. That can be boring and monotonous. This challenge has been a good metaphor for life in that way. Okay, I'm getting there. I'm getting there by micro-slicing my time. I'm basically just concentrated on one foot in front of the other. And then my next cycle of 500 steps, I've consistently used the same progression. 8 cycles of 500 steps. That gives me 4,000. That gives me 4 miles. That's about double my usual dance output. In a usual dance time slot, I would do about 2 miles of dancing per 30 minutes, 4 times a day. So for this challenge, I've doubled my output and I've added an additional 30-minute time slot. So I've upped my output. If we've done the math correctly, we'll have done about 1.5 to maybe 2 ultra marathons over the weekend. That's good for me. That's a nice callback to one time where I think I'm the first person to have done an ultra walking distance around a remote island of Nicaragua. I stayed with a local family, which was fun. The smell of the fresh natural cheese they used in the food still makes my tummy rumble. My homestay mom was questioning me in Spanish as to how I was possibly going to circumnavigate the volcano at the center, which would be an ultramarathon walking distance. She asked in Spanish, motocicleta, bicicleta, which means motorcycle, bicycle? I was like, no, walking. I forgot what walking is in Spanish, that's why. But I did mention it, walking in Spanish, to her. She's like, oh, you're probably the first person who's ever done that. I think I also verified with the local community association. Yeah, they've never heard of someone doing that. And I guess according to the locals, was the first to do it. Oh, okay, I am really getting there almost. I'm almost getting there. Yes, this is a grind. This really is a repetitive grind. And yes, during dance training, I do repeat to get good at the skill, but I have so many different dance moves that I can toggle between to prevent boredom. This has at times been dull, boring, monotonous, but again, that's been good training for me. I have to find a way to have that be fun sometimes. Oh, come on. I'm getting there. I'm almost there. Am I on track time-wise? Yeah, I'm on track time-wise. There were maybe a run or two in the middle there where I lost track of time a little bit, but that's okay. The only reason why I'm timing these things, I'm time limiting them, is because I had that mental challenge to edit my rockumentary at the same time, but I achieved that really good and early. Now I'm actually on to edit 2 of that same footage. I'm getting there. I'm really, really, really getting there. After this, like last night, I'll do some cool down stretching. I think that's been the number one thing I've learned through all of my adventures that I need to do to keep my body sustainable for any adventure that might come up. My physical mantra is to be prepared for any adventure that may come. If I have to miss out on an opportunity, it has to be something outside of my control. What's within my control is my physicality and my mentality, and those two things I keep on point. Even during a pandemic like this, who knows what kind of adventure might come up that needs me. At the very least, the dancing needs both the physical and the mental. Me choreographing my own dances has also added those together with the creativity. So things have worked out. This has been what I needed to do, and I'm really, really almost at the end here. Here's where it's a grind, where you know you're close to the end of the mountain, you're almost at the top of Everest, and you just got to keep it going for a little while longer. I'm on track, time-wise. Okay, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I have one more cycle, 500 steps left, which is only a couple minutes. I'm almost there. This is where it's a grind. I know I'm very, very close. And I've also kept within the 30-minute time slot, so I've done everything I needed to do this challenge. Oh, come on. I'm almost there. I thought yesterday I'd plop down to sleep. For some reason I tossed and turned. Maybe because the challenge is over, I will sleep well, who knows. Or maybe my mind is too wired on my rockumentary edit. Anything's possible. Anything is possible. Come on. Anything is possible. Okay, I've one more cycle to go. This is it. This is the end. This is the final one. Okay. I'm starting a bit. I'm really gonna savor it like it's any one of my other adventures, because it has been one. Final one now. Let's go. I have finished the challenge. Right on time as well. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna vlog for the next couple of minutes just to wrap up my thoughts on what's happened. I feel good. Even though this was a challenge I designed to actually test my patience, I still found ways to make it fun in my head. The reality is, life is a mix of boring monotony and adventure. How I manage the boring monotony is I remind myself that all those boring monotonous things are to build towards the adventure, and that's why I only pick the boring monotony that helps me on my adventurous route. So, I've pared my life down to the simplest basics because I want to be ultra focused on what I want to do and what I want to achieve. I think, really, genetically, I was born this way. I have a thesis, but I've lost it now because who knows what. So I'm slowly ramping my body down from the activity. Again, the heart likes to slowly decelerate as opposed to hard stopping. What kind of final thoughts do I have on this? So, Lex Fridman, AI scientist, was supposed to do this challenge together with David Goggins. They were supposed to together run 4 miles every 4 hours over 48 hours. Lex hurt his foot, so they're going to delay the in-person because they were supposed to podcast before and after as well. But Lex, for some reason, thought last year that the hardest part of this challenge was vlogging. I think that the vlogging has been the easiest part. If anything, I cheated a little when I designed this for boring monotony. I had my rests, which were the vlog rests, and those vlog rests are partially creative. Even though I spew out shit stream of consciousness style as a second nature, it still taps into a creative part of my mind. Just because it's easy creativity, it's still creativity. If anything, that's actually the easiest form of creativity that comes to me. The second easiest form is choreographing dancing for some reason. The choreographing process, while much harder in terms of the way I have to work at it, actually follows some discipline. So for the last year, every 2 weeks, I've actually choreographed a new dance. By choreographing, I mean I've actually created the sequence to a song. Am I good? I think I've improved over time, especially for someone who started from zero at the very beginning. People have always classified me or called me a good dancer, but that's because I just have some natural ability and groove. That I have. I've got that in spades. I've got the attitude. I've got the natural groove because I'm a musician. But all the other stuff, I was starting at zero. I basically leveraged my body awareness from martial arts, yoga, and other extreme sports into this. So I think my learning curve has been a lot faster than the average person would be. By average, I mean couch potato, or maybe even some sort of athletics, but without the body awareness athletics. Yes, body awareness is something that you can foster through different sports, but I think there are specific ones that are better for that. For example, I think yoga is one of the best body awareness activities. To drill down even further, I think it's the active breathing. Really, that's what some neuroscientists have claimed. That might be true. That's something that I've taken throughout this challenge, and I'm happy that I've basically finished now. Actually, for the second edit, I started watching the first edit, and already I'm developing different cuts and comparing how I like them. To be completely honest, a lot of this is going to be based on how I feel about the story, because this is my own story. I think that's actually the most important thing. So I know that other people might make art to make money. I make art to please me. I make art to entertain myself. I tend to have unique and eccentric tastes, so whether what I release will ever have any wide appeal remains to be seen. But that matters a lot less to me than having the art be true to me. So with that, that's it. That's it for this challenge. I'll probably still do my regular vlog cycle this upcoming week though. So, Monday, Wednesday,